Hello, guys. Hello, hello, hello. This is your girl, Evadne. I'm very pleased to be joining you this afternoon for a very exciting interview. It's exciting because we have one of our longest living citizens sitting here with us for an interview, and she can help herself. She's still very brilliant. She's on top of her game. Thank God for the blessings of long life. This evening, we are joined by uh, 104 years old, Mrs. Olive Wallace. Mrs. Wallace, how are you? Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm doing great. Now
You're
that we have you here, I'm
wonderful.
excited.
I'm
So how
excited.
was
Mhm.
good? How's your Sunday going so far?
Oh, pretty good. Thank you. Had
Oh,
fellowship morning and visitors this afternoon. So,
okay, okay. So you're great. Um, okay. I just missed one thing in all of this excitement. my my charger for
here
my
for your.
my computer is like
Oh,
8 minutes, so I'm gonna have to run and get it. Let me get it now before we start, and then have to stop.
okay, that
Um.
of us because I
Okay.
had to switch phones because the other one was off charge. And I did.
Yeah. Yeah. I left it in the other room that I was broadcasting from earlier. So let me grab that before we get cut off in the
Okay.
middle of this interview. Oh my God. 1 second.
Oh, you can take all the time you want.
All right. I shall be back shortly. Okay. So Miss Olive, I have my headphone in so I can still talk to you.
Sure.
Tell us exactly where you're from.
Hmm. Do you know the little district of Smithfield above State, Newmarket?
Uh-huh.
That's where I'm from.
So Smithfield would be between Jackgate and where? New Road? That's
Yes,
what it would be?
correct. The new roads on Jackson. Jack.
Okay. So you were born there.
Mm-hmm.
Which school did you go to?
Um, New Road School.
Okay. You went to New Road.
Mhm.
And that time, did you have the benefit of high school education at that time?
Oh no, we had to do what was called the pupil teachers examination for higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, after elementary. You remember in those days you had elementary education until age 15.
Right.
You wouldn't know that. You weren't born yet.
I remember hearing my mother and sisters talking about
And
that
then we,
kind of system.
yes,
But I
and we had what we call pupil teachers organ,
okay,
and that was what
okay,
in place of high school.
okay. So you didn't do like JSC and those things, right? That's after
No,
your time,
it's long after my time.
long after, right? Okay. So what was the experience like for you going through school at that time at New Road?
Well, I tell you something, it was very enjoyable.
Mhm.
Those days they admitted students at age 7, but
Right.
my father did preschool teaching at home.
Uh-huh.
So
Right?
when I became 7 years old, I started before I actually reached 7, I was giving them trouble. So my my mom went to teacher and asked him, "Teacher, please could you take her from him?" He said, "No, I can't take her until she's 7." So
Oh.
school year began in January and I would be 7 in February. And
Okay. Okay.
so he took me in.
Mhm.
It was just something novel to me because when I saw this other two, that sister and brother, come from school in the evenings, I used to sit
Mhm.
at the table and listen to their homework
All
and
right.
wish I could go to school.
Oh.
Now, when I became a nuisance, teacher had to take me before the time.
were were you bright? Were you a bright nuisance?
A bright nuisance. I
Okay, so
led my class. from
Mhm.
from that used to be ABC, they call it. Then
Right.
you had junior B, then first,
Mhm.
then second. Well,
Mhm.
when they started to test me for admission, and I went
Mhm.
ABC, Miss Vass was a teacher. She said, "You don't belong here. Go over
Right.
next door. Go over next door to Miss Vi, that is junior B now." When I
Uh-huh.
went, I she put she put on the board, "What is the date today?" And before she finished writing the sentence, I blurted it out. She said, "Oh, what are you doing here? Go over first class. I don't belong here."
Those teachers were so rough.
And I went to first class. They were reading about the cat that had so many kittens and her family.
Mhm.
And I took
Okay.
up the book and parroted it out. Miss Miller said, "Go over to second class. You don't belong here." So
Oh my God. So is it that you were just super bright and a little bit bored, why they
yeah,
thought you were giving trouble?
and precocious too, because
Okay.
Papi Dick taught us everything that he could by way of reading, writing,
Mhm.
spelling, poetry, Bible
Mhm.
verses, and numbers. So I
Okay.
was competent. And,
Oh.
I wasn't afraid of the class or anything like that.
Okay. Okay. So
I elementary school at second grade.
ah.
So by the time I was age 10, I was at sixth class and I had to sit there 5 weary years.
Oh
There,
my God.
there was nothing that teacher did that, could really stop me
Yeah.
because he stretched the curriculum and he did all that he could. And he said, "You know what? Help me teach the class."
Oh yeah, because in those days kids used to help
And
to
that
teach.
was fun. When I was 10, 11, 11 now, I had to take the pupil teacher's exam, the preparatory exam for it. They said, "All right, we see how that will stop
Yeah.
her now." When I took it, I got distinction in maths and English. That time it was called arithmetic.
Okay.
Okay. And so I
Uh
did it whole gamut of the
okay.
pupil.
So after you passed those exams, um, did you go on to college the same time, or you stayed in and did pre-trained teaching?
No, no, I didn't go to college at all. I volunteered at the school for nearly 2 years. And then at
Uh-huh.
age 16 plus, near 17, I entered the postal department. And I worked in the post office for 8 years.
Okay. Which post office were you at that time?
I learned at Hopewell in Hanover. And then
Mhm.
when I was 19, I got my own office at Great Valley
Mhm.
office nearby. And that put me in the situation where I had to train those who could come in and learn. So
Mhm.
over the period of time I stayed there, I trained 4 assistants and
Oh,
out into different offices.
okay.
Mm.
So at what point you start did you make your way back to education?
I got married now, 1944, when I was 27. And when I had my first
Uh-huh.
two children, the first boy, he used to call me Mama Dearie. I taught them the alphabet, just like how my father taught us. And then he started following me around. "What is this?" And I would tell him. He said, "How does it spell?" And I would tell him, and he would sing it like a psalm until he could spell it. So eventually he had a big vocabulary. He could spell nearly any. I said, so I decided that I should go into education to lead these kids.
Right.
So when this boy was 5, I now had 3 kids.
Mhm.
And my husband was working in Montego Bay at the Hearts Wharf. He was off injured there.
Right.
So I took this first child to the infant school to be enrolled. He was now 5 years old. when I when I went up with him and spoke to the principal, when I saw the lady, I said, "But this is a lady from my community." That was
Mhm.
Belle Richards. She was the principal. And she was so enamored about this little boy. She said, "So, Olive, why don't you go to college to train these children?" I said, "No, I can't manage to leave them to go to college." She said, "Well, I have a job for you." And I got that first job at the infant school in Montego Bay. And
Okay.
you know what Belle Cousins did? School was dismissed at 2:30. She
Uh-huh.
was with a business and she and I in the office. And she taught me early childhood education, how to deal with them, how to treat them. And then she referred me to the books that could help me now to do
Mhm.
the teacher's college examination. And that was where I began. I did
Oh.
first teacher's college exam, second teacher's college exam, and was preparing for the third when Monique opened. And then
Uh-huh.
that was a peak experience in
Yeah.
my career. I went to
So
Monique.
you went to Monique. And
Monique.
how long did you spend there,
Oh, we
Monique?
did 3 years work in 1 year. It was too long term,
Okay.
2 long terms. And so
In 1 year.
I was the second oldest student there. So
Okay.
I was not like the ordinary teenage student, or the
Mhm.
20-year old or so, because
Right.
was in my 30s now. So I walked with the tutors and talked with them on level because, I mean, I was a mature person, which is what they were looking for.
Yeah. So you were in big company. That's what I used to call that.
Well, life was good at Monique. So when I left Monique,
Okay.
I went back to my primary school where I was teaching with the Gascoigne
Mhm.
Westbourne, and you might have heard of them. And after we got the Monique result, my husband got transferred to Westmoreland. So I
Mhm.
went to Western Westmoreland, and there I worked in the elementary school for 2.5 years.
Mhm. Okay.
So that time, my first two boys now got the common entrance and went to Manning's. So my husband got transferred back home to Hanover. So I went to Manning's school to ask the principal to release my kids because I wanted to take them to Rossi.
Mhm.
He said, "It is not a safe thing to transfer children when they have just begun." They were bright kids, so of course he didn't want them to leave.
Mhm.
So I said I would see what I could do if Mr. Wallace could make a compromise and he could come back west and so on. Well, that didn't work. So I went back to him now and I said, "Mr. Prescott, I am leaving next week and have to come back for the but." He says, "No, no, no, come and teach here with me." And of course I couldn't forego that.
Okay.
I taught at Manning's 5 years.
Okay.
And during those 5 years, I did the GCE, that time that came into Jamaica where we could do it ex parte, I mean,
Yeah.
from England. I
Yeah.
did the GCE exams there. I did Spanish, Latin, old time stuff, and the three sciences.
Wow.
And so, what did happen? I had a late comer. 8 years after my last child, I had the final. She said, I always tell people she's my latecomer. She said, "Mommy, don't say that. God sends me here when He wants to."
How old were you when you were having that
For
late comer?
42,
How much?
40,
42. Yeah.
and I had that latecomer.
Yeah. People used to have kids pretty early, so that would have been really
Right.
late.
That was now number 5. she was ready now to begin primary school. What did I do? I left Manning's and took a school at home as principal of that school so that she could get her elementary education.
Okay.
While I was principal at Success, one morning I took up the papers and I saw where they were asking for the students who had been to Monique to participate in a curriculum development thrust at the University of the West Indies. Because as you remember, there was no Faculty of Education there when the university
Okay.
was just opened.
Mm-hmm.
So they were now going to have an education faculty.
Mm-hmm.
And a lady from, I don't even remember where she came from, but she was sent out to develop curricula and so on. And who was chosen among that 25? Yours truly.
Okay.
And
Nice.
so
Wonderful.
I enjoyed that. So that was my first university experience.
Mm-hmm.
So when I left UWI, I went into teacher training. And where did I go? I went back to Monique now as a lecturer.
Okay.
So while I was at Monique, now I really started researching education.
Uh-huh.
What I did before was, you know, what you would say the first step. And I did research over the whole Jamaica, as it were, to see what the education was like. And
Mm-hmm.
then satisfied, and I came up to this country and I did early childhood education
Mm-hmm.
on a professional level. And so I got that first degree in early childhood education. And that did it for me.
Okay.
When I returned, I had to discharge my obligation to Jamaica, having been given their what they call it then, they didn't say scholarship. But for me it was scholarship because my
Yeah.
expenses were paid all the way.
So because they had paid for you to come overseas to study.
Yes, all the way.
Okay, so you had to go back now and work.
Discharge my
Um,
obligation.
yeah. So that was like student loan at the time?
I don't know what it was. I wasn't asked to pay back anything. I was only asked to give 2 years of service.
Yeah, I remember them doing that. It
Yes.
was quite a loan, but you had an obligation to work, like sometimes 5 years or so.
Right. So,
Okay.
so my last stint in teacher training was with the Jamaica government, was in teacher training.
Uh-huh.
But my research in further education really began the year before I retired. I did the master's in education and then I went on to do the doctorate in education. You know, when I justified my thesis when I was 70 years, my last, I did mental health and counseling. I just thesis at 70 years. I
Oh
never,
my God.
never worked a day in the government service with that degree. But
With
I used it to motivate young people all
oh,
around.
so you are in fact Dr. Wallace.
They call
Doc,
me that.
Dr. Olive Wallace. I didn't know you're
They
Dr.
call me
Wallace.
but true.
Huh?
That's a strange name to me. Nobody hardly used it. Hardly
Is it
used
strange to you because you didn't get to work with
it.
it at the time?
I didn't use it. But
Oh,
when I retired completely now from education in Jamaica,
yeah.
I established a school in Kingston, Zenith Learning Center. You ever heard about it? Maybe not.
No.
Well, I kept that school for 10 years and
Okay.
I catered to the needs of children who were left behind.
Yes,
They
learning
enrolled.
disabilities.
Yeah,
Where was this?
no,
Where is the
no,
school
not,
located?
not disabled children. Children who were just left behind. Among them were some disabled ones.
Okay.
I enrolled 100 children, and I had
Oh,
3 trained teachers as my assistants, and I taught
okay.
individualized work according to the learning needs of the children. And that has been the peak experience in my life because I saw children who were rejects come in and they passed the government common entrance.
Yeah.
They, some of them get scholarship and go up to higher learning. I have
Mhm.
lawyers, doctors, teachers, mechanics,
Mhm.
and you name
Mhm.
every single student who passed through Zenith could read and comprehend and could think.
Yes.
And that
Where was this located?
it was located on
Oh,
Carlisle Avenue, number 15. Number 15 Carlisle Avenue. A man,
okay. Still, is it still there?
I don't know where it is now because I left
Okay.
I kept it for 10 years. Now I moved from Carlisle Avenue to Mannings Hill Road into the Baptist mission place.
Okay.
Was
Okay.
there was there for some time, and the Baptist people wanted to. I didn't say they wanted to take it over, but they could not buy it. When I was ready to sort of move out, the pastor came and told me that they would take over the school, but somehow or the other, the communication wasn't there where he thought I was going to leave it in there, retire and give it to them as a legacy. But I didn't do that. I moved to Kesha Park across the gully over to
Uh-huh.
that place where they have a school called Four Square, a church called
Okay.
Four Square,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I finished there. I
Okay.
sold the school and its equipment and everything to a teacher who was retiring. But she,
Oh.
but she did not subscribe to my philosophy of. She said she wanted to do otherwise. When I went
Oh.
back and visited her, she told me that it was greatly changed. It was. She moved from there and she was on Eastwood Park Road and she changed the name to Zenith Prep. And I don't know what it is now, if it is
Okay.
still there. But I look back to that time in my experience as the highest point in my life.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
felt very fulfilled and satisfied.
Okay. So that's a wonderful story, and I can really relate to that. My first formal
Right.
teaching experience was with students exactly like that. They took them out from the grades, they weren't doing well, and put them in one group, and then we had to give them individualized teaching, which resulted in them passing their common entrance, moving up to their regular exams and passing them and moving on like any other student. And that's a
Because,
very
because
good
some of
feeling.
some of those students they were not backward
No, no.
nor learning disabled. They just had their particular learning pattern and the teachers did not know how to
How?
identify and how to individualize. They didn't know that.
Yes.
And
I
so
I I have seen or heard a lot of stories like that recently. I think the teachers are a little bit more equipped now, and
mhm,
that style is more popular in Jamaica than
right,
years ago.
right,
When they realize that you have to individualize
right,
the lesson and so on to meet that student's needs.
right.
I think that's changing, and Louisville School up there
New
is,
market.
is leading the charge really in the high school area, down in that area there with
Yeah.
that. They kind of send them the students that are not quote unquote bright,
Uh-huh.
and by the time it comes around to graduation, those students perform almost as well, if not as well, as the regular students. Give and take a few here and there may have other deeper issues. But just because they sit with them and just because they figure out the way to teach them, because you know, basically everybody can learn, but you have to figure out the way to do it. And that was a great thing that you were doing there
Oh,
from as early as that time.
I I had two retired teachers
Mhm.
and two pre-trained, or they used to call them untrained then. Two two pre-trained teachers and two retired teachers, and
Mhm.
a sportsman, a young man who taught sports, and a lady who prepared the meals and taught the children how to sit at the table and how to be.
Right.
It was a multidimensional approach we had, and it was really, really enjoyable.
Very holistic. That's good.
I remember,
Um.
yes,
Go
go ahead.
ahead. No, no.
No, I remember in about the second or third week after we had opened, a youngster came in. He was 13, and he came into the office. His mother asked me later, I won't call his name, and I wrote on the paper, "Why are we here?" 13 years old. And the only word he knew in that sentence was "we."
Oh boy.
I called his name. I said, "Why is it you cannot read?" He said his mother can't read. And when he goes to school, teacher put the lesson on the board and he can't read it, so he just follow the other children.
Oh
I
man.
said, I said that why you leave school? Miss, we didn't have anywhere else to go. I'm
Okay.
telling you that that thing got right into my soul. I,
Yeah.
s- I said to him, I showed him the alphabet. I said, you know these letters? She said, yes, miss, it named the alphabet. I said, do you know that all the reading that we do comes from these 26 letters? He sat up
Mm.
straight. I said, and if I start you, if you meet me here every morning at 7:30 and I start you, do you know that in 3 weeks you will learn to read and can carry yourself? Him said, true, miss. I said, yes. He said, miss, I'll be here. And look here now, we arranged to meet at 7:30. And when I go up in the morning, sometimes at 7:25 and 7:20 to be in time, he is there sitting on the step. And at the first graduation we had, he read the lesson.
Ah,
You hear?
yeah.
That was a success story. Anyway, let's move off from that.
And you didn't just teach him to read. You gave him a lot of confidence.
Oh, yes, of course. Well,
Because a part of what comes with that being able to read and do well is the confidence, not
yeah,
feeling like you're a loser or the down child.
self esteem and self actualization.
Yes, yes. Wonderful, wonderful, Miss Olive.
Yes,
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have just joined us, welcome. My name is Evadne, and I am the CEO of Evmac Wellness and Evmac Teas, and the founder of the New Market St. Elizabeth community group. Now, if you've joined us on YouTube, I want you to feel free to go in the comments and put your congratulations, your comments, your question for Dr. Olive Wallace. We have not seen any comments coming through yet, but please feel free, ladies and gentlemen, put your comments right in here for her so she can read them and ask questions also if you have questions. And so we are happy that you're here. Please also share with your community. A lot of what Dr. Wallace has to say would be something that, other people, people in education, people from the community around Newmarket would want to hear because some people might not have known of her and they're meeting her for the first time. So it is a pleasure, a great delight for us to share her with the entire community. So please go ahead and share it on all social media and so we could have more people in here. Also, please put your comments and your questions in the comment section so I could read them out for her. Okay. Dr. Wallace, tell me, at what point did your career come to an end?
Well, it hasn't ended yet.
It hasn't ended yet.
No,
So,
because I'm writing my memoirs now.
oh yeah.
Still find time to give advice to who asks here and there. Of
Okay.
course, I still have an open book.
Ah,
I have,
nice.
I have a number of professional books that I would like to find people who may use them because I am really closing out office now. 100 and
Oh,
I think it's time.
no, it's not time. You have a lot left in you, honestly, to God, you do. You are operating around here like you're 60 years old. You have a lot left in you.
Yeah, I forgot at the beginning.
You have a lot left in
How
you.
long,
That brain is very good. Is
how,
there,
yeah,
huh?
what thing to me, you're telling me how
Is
long,
that,
how long
yes,
are we in this? Because I have to leave you at a certain time.
okay. So what time did you plan to end?
I have to leave you by 5 o'clock.
By 5. So we have about 15 minutes or so.
About that left.
Okay. Yes, that brain of yours, it is very, very good. We could
Yeah.
get a lot out of that brain still. Okay. So tell me about your parents. Who were
Oh,
your parents?
my parents were Miss Dick and Miss Fanny. Maybe you would
Hmm.
put those names. My father was Richard Theophilus Smythe, and my mother was Francilla Beatrice Smythe. We lived on the other side of Pancommon. You know where Pancommon is?
You mean
You
no,
know,
man, no Rush Pond.
you
I
know,
don't. Is it the
not
same one?
not far as you know, you know where the New Road School is now.
Yes.
Well, there was a businessman up there named Bargain.
Yes.
There. Well,
Yes.
that was our location. Our house
Okay.
right up on the hill from Bargain. And
Okay.
whole Smythe's family. When you walk that main road and you look up right, left, and center, it would belong originally to grandfather Smythe, was Matthew Benjamin Smythe,
Okay.
and the
Oh,
Smythe large family.
okay. Wonderful. And you spoke about your husband.
Yes,
Uh,
husband is
what kind of field was your husband in? Because I heard you talk about him moving, whatever, and
agriculture.
agriculture.
He worked with
Okay.
agriculture for years. He first used to do work in business
Mhm.
in the Montego Bay area with the Mazookas.
Mhm.
He left that and went into the Ministry of Agriculture. He
Okay. What was his name?
Martel B. Wallace.
Bartel B. Wallace. Okay. All right. So wonderful. How has life been here for you in the U.S. compared to what it was in Jamaica?
Well, people say life is what you make it.
Mhm.
So I have had a very fulfilling life. It has been good for me all the way. I've never known tragedy, thank the Lord.
Right.
And so my song is one of joy and rejoicing and thanksgiving to God for how He has led me,
Mhm.
the family too, through life.
Mhm. Oh,
Des-
wonderful.
Desmond Smythe is my nephew. You know him?
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
he's still in Newmarket.
Yes. He is the mechanic. Yeah.
Right.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Let me ask you this: is there anything that you remember from growing up, from your childhood, that kind of make you really sad about the way life was back then?
Uh, Let me see. No.
If you don't remember, it's okay.
No, no. I used to have,
Perhaps you could tell me about the happy childhood then, if you don't remember anything like that.
yeah, my childhood was very happy. Our family
Hmm.
was close knit. We had our own concerts when we were ready, and we lived for one another. Family
Wonderful.
unity. My parents emphasize the value of education
Mhm.
and the unity of the family.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So,
Good foundation. Solid, solid foundation. Would you say that your family were they poor at that time, or you think they were in the middle somewhat,
well, I don't
considering the area itself?
get consider the time
Mhm.
when anybody around the area wanted money to borrow, they come to Papi Dick. That is my father.
Okay, so he couldn't be poor on the
Matthew,
poor.
Matthew Benjamin, his father was regarded
Mhm.
as the rich man around there.
Mhm.
He made sure that he settled each of his sons on their own portion of land.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
my father had 7 acres on the hillside,
Mhm.
still had 5 acres up the shop, and everybody had their own thing.
Okay.
His motto was that every son and daughter should have a trade when you leave school because
Okay.
British rule and so much was good for us and no more. So much and no more. Our education,
Okay.
our inspectors came from Britain and things like that. You wouldn't remember, you
Right.
wouldn't all that. When
Well, I
Jamaica,
didn't know them from Britain. I know education officers from
since, since,
around, but not from overseas.
since Jamaica has become independent,
Yeah.
you know of that because you are just born the other day. But in my time, the inspectors they were white and they came from Britain. And the
Oh.
stories that we read savored of the continent, the European
Yeah.
continent, and so
Yes.
on. Nothing,
Okay.
no, the literature, everything was
Nothing
from,
about our
yeah,
culture.
not our
Um.
culture. Praise God to
As
Louise Bell came and brought in the need for recognizing and appreciating our culture.
right. As I mentioned, culture. Do you remember like your grandparents? Were you privileged to know your grand and great grandparents?
I
Were
didn't,
any of these persons
I didn't know,
direct descendants of slaves?
but I know my father's mother and father, and my
Mhm.
mother and father, and relatives, cousins and uncles, and so on. But I didn't know any of the great grands.
Okay, so you didn't get a chance to meet any one of them who could tell you directly that they came off a plantation.
No,
No,
no, I
you
didn't.
weren't that close to the situation. Okay, all right. What would you say to young people these days from the area? What would be your biggest advice to them?
I went to I went home 2 years ago, 2000.
Mhm.
I stayed with Desmond and his family.
Mhm.
He teaches the basic school, and his
Mhm.
daughter at the Black River Primary, and he
Right.
has a mechanic shop around his place there. I would encourage the young ones to do to look up. According to Mr. Young, he used to say, low aim is crime, aim high. That
Mhm.
I would give that advice.
Mhm.
But aim high does not mean aiming high to rise high on the shoulders of others. Work hard, develop yourself, and have confidence in your ability to become who
Mhm.
you. That is the advice I would have to give to the young ones.
Solid advice. Um, low aim is
Crime,
what? Is
crime,
crime.
aim high,
Aim
low aim.
high. Okay. Um, do you looking back at your life, it seemed to me that it was pretty good from the start. You had a good go at education and that propelled you pretty much throughout your life.
Had good
Even
parents. I had a mother in whom I believed. She
yeah,
taught morality and the value of womanhood and 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 the gain in living virtuously. She taught those lessons, and I believe
right. Okay. So that has kept you and that carried you and served you very, very well. At
Plus,
this, at this,
plus an unswerving faith in God, trust in
yes,
Him. I began to walk with God when I was 16 because I realized that I could not live my life the way I wanted to unless God was a part of it.
wonderful. What kind of church do you go to? What
I,
denomination?
I belong to a fellowship, non denominational,
Okay,
where
wonderful.
uh, we study the life and teachings of Jesus
Mm,
and we try to walk as circumspectly as He would require us. That is
okay,
the vision.
really wonderful. Miss Olive, Dr. Olive, did you think that you would have lived this long?
No, I never thought that way. Never,
Did are you
never.
shocked? Like
Well,
really shocked?
I'm not shocked, but each day I just pray to the Lord to show me what He would have me to do because there has to be a purpose in my being. I'm the oldest liver in my family, in my immediate
Oh
family.
my God.
My
It's such
uncle
a remarkable brain.
is sick,
That's,
but I am the oldest one. My sisters are all gone, and my brothers are all gone, and
mhm, mhm.
then friends and my whole group of friends. I don't have any childhood friend or school days friend
All
now.
gone.
They're gone. I have other friends back you, and they're satisfying friends too. But I just look around and I said, God has a purpose.
Purpose.
I'm being here.
What what
I
do you think contribute to your longevity?
I don't know. Apart from the hand of God, I can't put it
Do
down to
you
it.
do you eat anything different? Are you a vegan? Do you exercise? Anything special? No alcohol, stuff
Oh, no,
like that?
I never abused anything. Alcohol, tobacco, promiscuity, and so on. I never abused any of those things.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I don't know. But one thing our parents used to emphasize is eating properly, eating right.
Okay.
We
So,
never,
for what does eating right mean for you?
my mother had a kitchen garden nearly an acre, and
Mhm.
all the vegetables that you think of that is grown around there grew in her garden.
Mhm.
We ate, and the fruit trees we had oranges, guava, sweet cup, because of course it was fertile land and virgin lands in most cases. So vegetables and fruits form a great part of our diet.
Vegetable.
And
And that is still so until today.
that is still so until today. And
Okay.
I'm even more stringent when I started studying science of food and cookery.
Mhm.
It became more stringent. So I've always
Mhm.
been healthy according to my granddaughter.
Okay. So, did you eat a lot of meat at any point?
Well, not a lot, but we ate meat in moderation.
Okay. Let me see. I have to change my glasses to read well. I don't want to miss. There are lots of people commenting here. Janet Taylor says, "Well done, good Rich." Godfrey says, "Blessing." Andrew Smile says, "Amen to Aunt Olive. Aim high." Nadia Design says, "Great advice." Sharonette Brown Curlew, good afternoon. I missed the introduction. Did she get her doctorate in education? If so, what are the names of the schools she taught?
Our
Your doctorate is in what?
education.
Education.
I
And
want
you,
a PH, but it was required that you should have a foreign language that you could read and write with fluency. I tried the Spanish. I could listen, interpret, but I couldn't write it. So
okay,
I, I had to shift and do what I could really manage.
okay. And she wanted to know which colleges, which you taught, which
I taught at Bethlehem Teachers
names
College.
of the schools. Yes,
I,
so Bethlehem.
all
Go
right,
ahead.
begin with the primary schools.
Mhm.
I began at Montego Bay Infant School.
Mhm.
Then I taught at Sandy Bay Primary, which was near to our home in Hanover. Then I taught at Gurney's Mount, which was a school right at home.
Mm.
And then after Gurney's Mount, now where did I go? I have
Did
to wrap my
Manning?
brain, but no. After Gurney's Mount, I taught at King's in Westmoreland. That's where I met the Gascoignes. And that was a sort of turning point in my educational career because that was where I left and went to Monig as a mature student. The first batch of students that were recruited to go to Monig were required to be mature students who had reached the level of the second teachers college exam and was ready to go forward and could make, because education was on the downward slide at that time. So money was open to bridge the gap.
Okay, so Anthony is asking who were your contemporaries?
At,
Um,
at Monique,
yeah, or maybe around the time when you were growing up.
oh, when I was growing up, we always had a group of friends. Agatha Brown, I don't know if that name is familiar, Constance Mitchell, Ida Lou Honis, Magdala Honis, the Baileys, Larian Beryl,
Okay.
Ivy Foster, Muriel Stevenson. Those were my contemporaries.
Okay, what about Miss Lou? You and Mrs. Mailer, Louise Mailer. You and her were
No, no, we were
no.
not. We were not contemporary.
Okay.
She was, she was way ahead of me in achievement, but we weren't.
Oh.
She was in Black. She went to Beersheba School,
Mhm.
and I went to New Roads.
Okay.
So she was. We met when she was Mrs. Mailer in Westmoreland, as
Okay.
as colleagues. But as growing up, we no.
All right.
Mm.
Okay, I know you have to go, so I want to run through some of these questions before we have to end. We could always bring you back another time to talk about different stuff, but just give us a minute to just get these questions in. Good afternoon, Aunt Olive. It's good to see you here. This is great. Talk to you soon. That's Octavia Smythe. Joy Coleman says, you want
Mhm.
to respond to that?
Yes. Thank you, Tavia. Good afternoon. I hope all goes well with you. How is my little boyfriend? Hope he's well.
Joy Coleman says, how do you how do you stay looking so young? Uh,
It's a mind, my dear. The
and
brain
you still
con-
go out to prayer meeting.
con-
Amazing.
if
You still go out to prayer meeting, right?
go to Bible study on Wednesday evenings and I go to fellowship on Sunday mornings.
Okay. Paulette Black says, congrats, Miss Wallace. Dottie Hamilton says, I'm very impressed with her sense of humor. Yes, she's the greatest.
Thank
You
you.
know, you know who Dottie Hamilton is? You know Sefton?
Sefton.
Four Road?
Yes, I know Sefton.
That's his daughter.
Oh, really?
Um,
But Sefton is no longer with us.
no, no. Dr. Olive Wallace, your career hasn't ended yet, says Masme One. Masme One says, congratulations, Aunt Olive, we love you.
Thank you.
Nodia says, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I
So,
think that's
who is Sophia?
Nodia. That's the name of some somebody's screen name.
Oh,
Herbert Smith says, my auntie looking good, right?
thank you, Herbert.
All right. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate this. All 25 of you who joined us. and I'm sure if we kept talking, more people would be on. But I just kind of caught Miss Olive or Dr. Olive this afternoon um, on the spur of the moment, and we decided that we're gonna do the interview um, just with just an hour to prepare. So we will definitely have her back another time when we can talk longer. She has family members visiting her home. We appreciate them giving us this time to be inside of their home, interrupting their visit and helping her with her technical issues. And another time we can certainly sit with Dr. Olive, maybe even in a forum where you guys can ask questions directly, like, you know, one on one. Because she has a lot in her brain that we could use, honestly. I believe so. A lot of advice, great advice. Dr. Olive, are all your kids still alive?
Oh, yes. Thank the Lord I
Wonderful.
never lost a kid. They're all
Wonderful.
big now. I have like
Yeah,
30 grandchildren and 11 great grand.
wonderful. What a blessing.
I
Do
had
you have anything at all that you regret in life, about life so far? Looking back,
regrets. Mm. Only that I couldn't do more.
only
Although
that you couldn't do more.
my service, I always feel I wish I had been able to do more and to help more people. But I'm
Great.
a people person, and I love to reach out to one and all. Thank you very much, everybody.
I would really love to get to your age and can only regret not being able to do much more after I've done so much in, especially in the field of education. And what makes you happy right now?
Just life, everybody, a lot of good friends and fellowship. Oh, life is good.
Nice, nice. All right, so there you have it. What makes her happy? Life, fellowship, I guess, family, friends, and everybody who is here cheering her on. We have to let her go. Remember her advice, the advice given by Dr. Olive Wallace this afternoon, Sunday, November 28th, which
Aim
is
low,
no aim is a
right?
crime,
Aim
aim
high.
high. So we're going to leave with that,
Yes,
aim
thank you
high.
for having me. And anytime you're ready for us to have another talk, I'll be happy to join you. But it's only that it's time for me to go. I,
I appreciate that. I will do a forum next time so we can have
all
more
those have
dialogue.
and express their good wishes.
Yes,
Thank you all very much and enjoy the rest of the evening.
appreciate it. Appreciate you and your family very much, Dr. Olive
Again,
Wallace.
bless
Good.
you.
Take care, guys. This is Evadne saying goodbye from New York. Good night.